So another thing I wanted to get on the soapbox about was, now y'all don't slay me when I say this, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Whenever they got there, they were doing the most. Like, and I get it, when, let's just be honest, when we get places, sometimes, when we get places we've never been before, we don't know how to act right. We don't know how to act in general. Like I said, don't slay me for saying this, but it seemed like the embodiment of that phrase, you can take a person out of the ghetto, but can't take the ghetto out of the person. I'm just saying, don't slay me, y'all, okay? Don't roast me. But anyways, I'm gonna just move on. They were doing all kinds of stuff. Acting crazy, saying all kinds of stuff to the queen, cracking jokes that were really disrespectful, let's just be honest. I don't even want to think about, like, if she had taken it seriously, the consequences that could have fell on them. Like, if this was a real situation, they were just doing the most. I'll just leave it at that. So they go to bed. Next day they wake up. The person who woke Lavelle up, the royal, I don't even know what his job description was, but he just, woke him up and he, got him out of the bed so he could start the day. He finds his mom because there were some women, he's enjoying all the luxury and stuff. Women talking about, we're here to bathe you and all this kind of stuff. So he went to his mom and was like, Mom, these women are talking about they're going to bathe me naked. What do I do? She was like, well, we're in a different place. We got cultures with, different traditions. Just go ahead with it. Just go on. He was like, okay. Now, I'm sorry, I gotta stop y'all with every scene of the stupid stuff that goes on with this woman, his mother. My God, this woman. First of all, I guess this is like I said, I'm a Christian, so, I try to uphold certain values. But if I was in his position and they were like, guys talking about, yeah, we'll bathe you or whatever, ain't no way I would have no men butt naked trying to bathe me. Like, nah, I like my privacy. Like, my body, the only eyes that are falling on this body are mine and my future husband's. Okay. But he went ahead and did what he had to do while she was in the tub, about to drown a whole man, just so she can get some cunnilingus in the morning. I'm just like, this woman. But anyways, then he also meets this young lady named Rimbe, who is his royal barber. And they really got along with each other, like, really well. Which I thought was just kind of cute, not to be, to be honest, It was just really cute how well they got along with each other. So later on, King Akeem and Simi take Lavelle, around the castle because they're telling him, you got to learn how to walk like a prince, talk like a prince. There's customs you got to get accustomed to. You have to know all the history of, your grandfather, your great grandfather. You got to learn all that history. And, he's like, making sure that he, knows all this stuff. And at first it seemed like the only daughter or sister of his that was starting to warm up to him was the youngest. As they were going through all the names of his, predecessors. But other than that, at the time, it didn't seem like none of them were trying to have anything to do with him. Now, they told him that, of course, he was going to have to pass some tests and basically do kind of like a rite of passage before he could just accept the throne. And one of those rites of passage was he had to cut the whiskers off of a lion. Now, first of all, can you say animal cruelty? But whatever. He was like, haha, so funny. And, I thought it was a joke at first, too. But apparently it was not. And they were serious. They were dead serious. Akeem handed him the scissors and was like, oh, no, you have to do this for real. And he was like, oh, I know you didn't do this. And he was like, oh, yes, I did. And on my first try. And he was like, this is ridiculous. And he was just starting to feel like, I don't think I fit in. I don't think this is for me. I don't know how I'm going to do all this. And so, while they're doing all this, Princess Mika, is just frustrated because she's just like, I should be getting ready to take the throne. Like, this is for me. Like, the person for the throne is me. I am she. Like, this should have been my spot. And, and it was the truth. And she was even looking at a reporter. I forgot what the reporter's name wasn't a movie, but he was played by Trevor Noah, which I thought was hysterical. Trevor Noah was hysterical to me. But seeing him pop up in that movie made me chuckle. And he was, reporting on how, he finally had an heir to Zamunda, a boy, which kind of just conveniently came out of nowhere. And nobody cares because all that matters is that he's a man, and that unfortunately was the thing at the time. Like, nobody cared about the fact that he just literally popped up out of nowhere with the most convenience in the world. They just cared about the fact that he was a man, that Akeem was his father, point blank. And it really frustrated Princess Mika, like, a lot, which, I understand. So at the end of the day, of going through all this stuff and getting taught by his father and Simi what he's supposed to be, how he's supposed to be, he starts to talk to Marimbe, who was taking care of his hair at night, and he was saying, I just don't think this is for me. I just don't belong here. Like, I'm trying to be the prince that my father wants me to be, but I don't even know him. I don't even know how to do this. She was like, well, instead of trying to be something, that somebody else wants you to be, like Prince Lavelle of King Akeem's son, Prince Lavelle of Zamunda, just be the prince from Queens. Like, be who you are. And he literally takes that advice. He invited his uncle, and he tries to be, who he is, as he is, instead of something that he may not be instead, So they all gather back, in the main, I guess you could call it like the main court hall or the main ballroom. And again, General Izzy pays them a visit. And he's like, oh, well, you just conveniently had a pop-up son out of nowhere. How lucky for you. Maybe you won't get, knocked off after all. And he introduces his daughter, played by Tiana Taylor, named Bapoto, I think that was her name. Bapoto. And she's like dancing and all this kind of stuff. And he's, of course, drooling over her and whatnot. And so Akeem is looking like, oh yeah, this is all going according to plan. And so they stop everything. And he was like, so does he like what he sees or whatever? And he, starts to talk to Lavelle and say, is this what you, are you okay with the situation? Because at first he was like, I believe in, basically saying stuff like, I believe that, in love and getting to know the person who you want to be with. And he looks at his wife, Lisa, and she's just like, and there's like a little moment, like a little romantic moment. And then he throws a wrench in that and goes, but if Lavelle is okay with this, then I'm okay with this. And he asked Lavelle, and he was like, oh yeah, sure, I'm okay with this, being put with, Bapoto. And Lisa was like, now wait a second. And, his daughter was like, but father. And he's like, no. If he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. And then, of course, General Izzy was happy to hear that. And the sound that erupted from his vocal cords was just hysterical to me. But anyways, so he leaves. And, of course, Lisa is upset. Mika is upset. And they're like, you're really gonna, first of all, get involved with this man who we don't have good ties to. Like, we've got bad blood between each other. And you're gonna really leave all of this. This is a big responsibility, and you don't just gloss over these kind of decisions. You're gonna leave that up to him, and he's thinking about. We know what he's thinking about. Like, are you really gonna do this? And he was like, oh well, I said it, and it's final. And he had put his foot down, for what would look like one of the first times in his, everybody was saying like, we're not in agreement with this. Like, we just don't think this is okay. But he was determined to go through it because, again, General Izzy had threatened him. Now, I don't know why he didn't tell them ahead of time. Maybe they could have all thought of a plan together, but I think that was the driving factor on why he did what he did, why he let Lavelle go through it, basically being promised to Koto because of General Izzy's threat.